Good morning, everybody. My name's Arun Wadvani, speaking from Ingram Microcloud. Today, I'm pleased to advise we'll be running a webinar around Microsoft Dynamics. Today, our two key presenters are Tim Shaw from Microsoft, who is the Partner Technical Architect, and we'll also be joined by Graham Rock from the Artist Group, who is the Dynamics Head of Business Applications, and he's the leader there at an Artist Group, which is one of our partners that focus very much in that area. At the end of the session, I will come back to me and I'll give you a quick overview of the Microsoft promotions around CSP. During the session, of course, if you have questions, feel free to put those into the chat box and we'll deal with those at the end of the first part of the presentation, and we'll see how we go from there. So I'll now hand you over to Tim Shaw from Microsoft. Tim, are you there?
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Arun. I am here. Hi, everybody. So I'll move on to the next slide. So I'll move on to the next slide, and I'll just make sure the screen is keeping up with me as I go. So as Arun already said, I'm Tim Shaw. I'm a Partner Technical Architect for Business Applications at Microsoft. Today we're going to talk about a product called Dynamics 365 Business Central. So across today's agenda, I'm going to talk about what it actually is. So what is Dynamics 365 Business Central? Talk about how Dynamics 365 Business Central can be profitable for your business. Then Graham's going to take over and talk about the Artist Quick Start for Dynamics 365 Business Central, and then we'll get into the next steps and call to action back with Arun. So first of all, let me talk a little bit about the journey of that has been Business Central. So Business Central has 31 years of heritage, so it's just waiting for it to update all the screens. So it's 31 years of heritage across where it started as Dynamics Nav, or back in a long time ago as Navision. So it's not a brand new product that's just been built for the first time. It's a product that's evolved to where it is today. We have 220,000 customers worldwide using the product with over 3.3 million users. It's sold in 196 customers and served today by 4,500 partners. Now, saying that on the partner side, that is this slide is about 3 months old, and I'll talk more about Business Central and what that's doing to partners in the next slide. So since Business Central came into the market, so what Business Central is it's primarily a software as a service that can also be run on-prem. What that means is that when the customer purchases a product, there's no hardware or infrastructure purchase at all. All of that's managed by Microsoft. They literally buy the software, pay the per user price per month, pay implementation costs, and off they go. And after that, it's Microsoft and Azure's job to look after the security and the privacy and the infrastructure and the hardware, etc. All of that sort of functionality that traditionally on-prem people pay for. Since we introduced it, we've had 220% growth in partners that are selling Dynamics 365 Business Central. So there's traditional partners of Dynamics NAV that have jumped aboard Business Central, and there's also new partners, potentially like yourselves, jumping on board as well, because the product works with Office and because it's easier to implement and it's easier to use. The revenue increase per partner is about 46%. So by taking on something like Business Central versus our other products, we're seeing a 46% increase in revenue per partner. We're seeing about 30 plus new Dynamics 365 Business Partner Centrals every month at the moment, so it's growing. And about 3 months ago, there was 592 partners specifically selling Dynamics 365 Business Central. And 65% of those partners also selling other Dynamics 365 workloads or other things like Office and so on. So we have a lot of momentum with this product and a lot of interest from customers, also partners as well. In fact, it's the first time I've seen pre-orders for a product before we've released from a Dynamics ERP side. So when we released in July in Australia, we already had a number of partners with pre-orders just waiting for the service to become available here. And then around the world, from the marketing experts like ZNet and Nucleus and Gartner and so on, there's a lot of feedback with a month-on-month average growth of 59%. Actually, in Australia, that's over 100%. So each month we increase our customers by over 100%, so double the month before, and we've done that every month since we released here. And then we pretty well look after 24 out of the 26 industries. So the sort of industries you'll see Business Central in, you'll see them in manufacturing, you'll see it in distribution, you'll see it in government agencies, you'll see it in small businesses, and you've probably interacted with it at certain times. So like if you go to IGA, for instance, they use a thing called LS Retail, which is built on the platform that is Dynamics Nav and Business Central. If you go to Newslink in the newspaper offices at the or places that sell newspapers at the train station in the city, that's LS Retail as well, and behind there is Business Central. And then there's a number of other brands that you won't know that you're interacting with it, but in the back end there's a Business Central system or a Dynamics NAV system running that. So where we talk about Dynamics 365, so the free cloud, so obviously Microsoft Azure is a platform that we all deploy and build on top of. In the middle here, we've got Dynamics 365, and that's the business applications from Microsoft, and Business Central is what we're talking about at the moment, but Business Central also works with other business applications such as Power BI, such as Power Apps, and such as Flow. So I'll talk a little bit more about those shortly. And then the Microsoft 365 solution, so deeply embedded with Office, Excel, Word. We use Word for all our invoice layouts and templates, as well as other things like bookings, and which is another app on the Microsoft 365 stack, as well as and other applications on there. When you look at this, our idea is to engage with and help engaging with customers, help empower employees, transform products, and optimize operations. But the big thing in all this is actually to try to get all that data back into the business application so the customers can use that data to make changes and understand where they are. So see that insight and know what they need to do. So I thought I'd jump into a demo and to give a little bit of a scenario on what this actual demo is. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of getting a quote. So in this case, I'm basically looking at a quote. So customers emailed you to receive a quote, and traditionally what you do is you open your ERP system, you navigate the menu, you go and create a new quote, you search for the customer. Once you find the customer, then you go and add lines for the first product, then you go and do the same thing for the second product, add the line, search for product. Then you finalize the quote, and then you might print or create the quote as a PDF or something, and you'll go off and create an email and send that quote off to the customer. So let's have a look and see how we do that in Business Central. So we might start off with, I'm bringing this across here, if I can open this up. I'll bring this guy, where's he gone? There. So I'll bring this across. So what I'm showing on the screen, which will be coming up on your screens at the moment, is what's called Office 365. So this works the same as whether you're running the cloud or whether you're running the on-premise version of Office 365. I'll just pause for a second while it gets onto everybody's screen. But this is a standard Office 365 screen. So this is kind of where it starts. So if you've sold Office to your customers, then it makes sense that, well, what about selling financial/ERP system to them that enables them to use Office to get more out of it. So in this case, I've received an email from a guy called Tim Shaw at Microsoft.com, which happens to be me. So I'm actually on Office tenant and I'm logged in as admin at M365, whatever the thing is. So I've emailed from my work email to this particular company, and this email's come forward. And in this email, I've asked for a quote on 7 chairs and 3 tables. There's nothing special about this email. This is just written. There's no table in the middle there or anything like that. But over here on my email, I've got a little Business Central icon, which I'm going to click now. And I'm going to click on something called Contact Insights. And what that's going to do is open up a little pane on the right-hand side. And that little pane on the right-hand side is going to go straight into Business Central and bring me up details about this customer. Now, if the customer doesn't exist, it will also allow me to add them as a contact to an existing company or add them as a contact to a new company, so I get some CRM functionality as well. But in the pane on the right-hand side now, I can see details about last year-to-date sales, I can see ongoing sales quotes. I can see if they've got any balances overdue, etc., all on that screen without leaving Outlook. I can click on things here and drill down. I'm not going to do that today. We're going to do what we need to do, which is create a quote. So let's go here and do new. And on this selection that's coming up, you can see that I can do a quote, I can do a purchase order. So this works both ways, right? So a vendor sends you a quote for something, you need to create a purchase order for it. I can do that from the email as well. So let's do a quote. So I click on Sales Quote. Once again, on the right-hand side, it's jumping into Business Central, opening that up for me. And as Business Central opens up, what you'll see is it's looked at the items and it's bringing the items up on the screen. So the bottom item, we only have one item in our stock list that is a table. So let's just come up with that straight away. The second item, it's come up in red. It says resolve item because I've got more than one chair. So I can click on this resolve item. And what it's doing is it's basically going through my item list, looking everything in stock that I've got that has chair in it, and giving me the ability to choose which chair that I want to sell to the customer. So let's go and choose this one, Tokyo Guest Chair. So now we've got the right lines. We'll tick the box and we'll move on to the next part of creating a quote. Okay, so now I've got a quote showing up on the screen here on the right-hand side. I can pop that out, so I'm not going to do that this time, but I can pop that out on the screen if I want to see the full details. But on the screen, I can see the details of the items. I can see the total price, and I can drag over and see the line items, and I can change things if I want to. But let's just say everything's perfect here. We can click on here, and now we're going to send it by email to the customer. And what it will do now is open up an Outlook draft message. It's actually opening that up on my other screen because I've got that popping out at the moment. So I'll bring that across to you guys so you can see it. So it's opened up a draft email for me and attached a PDF to it with words in it ready to send. And I click send and that's emailed off to the customer. The quote's already in Business Central and there's nothing else I need to do. Now, the other things to mention about that is the body of this email, the words that are in the email to the customer. That's based off a Word template, and the actual PDF that's going out is also based off a Word template as well. So what that means is customers and partners can actually go and, I can show you this better on the screen over here, they can actually go and edit this in a Word, like a normal Word, open it up in Word, edit the template and save it back to Business Central, so you don't need to go into programming to do that. But that's the process of using Business Central. So a few things happened then. One is you showed the deep integration between Office, so it was able to look at the email address and work out what it was in Business Central. Secondly, we used a little bit of machine learning to look through the quote and basically say, well, where are the items and how many do they want? So that's kind of looking through that email, looking for that. And thirdly, we then used Word to create a template that we used to create the body of the email and also the quote that goes out to the actual customer. And that's the quote process. Okay, let's continue back with this. So let's talk a little bit more then about Business Central capabilities. So as I mentioned before, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is part of our free cloud strategy. In the product itself, it covers off things like financial management, project management, which is job costing. So if you've got a customer that goes out and does jobs and they then want to charge somebody back for that, that's kind of what our project management is. Operations management, which is discrete manufacturing, but you can get add-ons to do process manufacturing. So if you've ever had those little tubs that come from your cult in Australia use Dynamics Nav to actually run their business. So that's more process manufacturing that's handling there. Reporting and analytics, so we use Power BI, so it's all the Microsoft products. So we have built-in Power BI dashboards that are embedded within the product, as well as you can go out to Power BI itself and run the reports from there as well. And on top of that, we have Cortana Intelligence and machine learning helping us with things like cash flow forecasting. It can be done using machine learning. There's also another thing called predict payment that's done by using machine learning as well. And it's a little bit different to what customers are used to, where what it will do is look at a customer and it'll look at at all the details and look for patterns. So say, for instance, you have a customer that around December, January is always a slow payer, but the rest of the year they're not. What predict payments will do is, first of all, it will give the accounts receivable person or the person chasing money a list of all the invoices that it predicts payments based off the month more than the average. So that gives them the ability to focus on that. And secondly, if I'm doing a quote or an order for somebody and I need to give them a special price, I can click that predict payment and it will tell me what the chances are of the customer paying and what potential date they'll pay that invoice. And that gives the power back to the person to decide, well, do I give them a discount or do I not? Based off the fact that, you know, maybe this order is not going to be paid on time. Then on top of that, we have supply chain management. So that's everything from simple warehousing to directed picking warehousing. So that's going out and picking stuff and moving stuff around to ship it. So there's some large brands in Australia, like Iconic and so on, using Business Central for that. And then you've got sales and service management. So the whole concept of, we do have a built-in CRM system and we do have a built-in service management system, but we can also integrate out to Dynamics 365 sales and Dynamics 365 field service as well. So it kind of gives you an overview of what it does. Then around that, we have the data and the intelligence sides, which are backed by Power BI and Cortana Intelligence and machine learning. Going into that side, so you've got your Power BI coming down the bottom of the screen. So that's your analytical dashboards and reporting. You've got Microsoft Flow. So Flow, for instance, you can build a Power App, which is the next one along, and you can use something like Microsoft Flow to go out and do advanced approvals, to go and update a message in Teams, go and put an invoice back into Business Central. So Flow is like a workflow with a little bit more grunt. And then Power Apps, so there's a couple of different modes of Power Apps. There's Canvas apps and there's Modeler. So we work with both. Canvas app is the cheaper one, the one that's included in the licensing. And that allows you to create an application on a phone. So maybe a customer wants to create an application when their staff are out on customer site where they take a photo and then input some data, say the amount and choose the customer. And then that goes through and ends up back in Business Central as a credit or an invoice that you're going to invoice. So a Power App kind of allows you to build those apps without having to go into full .NET sort of development. And then we're modern, so it's a modern interface, modern system, unified. Basically, that's talking about that I can see it on Android, I can see it on iOS systems, I can see it on Windows systems, which you'll see the screen shortly. Intelligence, that's using the Cortana and the machine learning and the Azure stack for that. And the last one on there is adaptable, so the system can be extended. And this is probably the biggest change from traditional Dynamics Nav to Business Central. Business Central uses what we call extensions, and that means that when I develop for it, I can add and subscribe to events happening within the system and do whatever I need to do. So our traditional developers, many of them are learning how to do this, but the end result is that they can now develop apps that are outside of the main application and don't interfere with the main application, but still supply them with the same sort of customizations for the customers they did in the past, and enable us to get to an evergreen system. And what evergreen means is that the customer's always on the latest version. And to talk about that, in April we upgraded all of our customers that were on Finance and Operations Business Edition, which was another version of NAV in the cloud in US, UK, and Canada. On the 2nd of April, we upgraded them all to Business Central overnight, and they all came to work the next morning, and they were in Business Central instead of being in the old interface. In July, we released it here, and in October, we did an update. So we have two major updates a year, October and also April. In October, we did an update and the same experience. No customers went down. They literally came in the next day and they're on the latest version. And even recently, we pushed out some hot fixes and so on to all the customers that are on Business Central Online, and they're all on the current version. So that's what I mean by evergreen. So we're taking away the issues with, staying current. So we've done very well at doing that. So the product itself handles all these, and you can go through this later, but it handles all these sort of areas, so it's quite enriched. It's all in the same product. So when you look at other products in this market that we're not necessarily targeting their market, but we're kind of, once they've outgrown that product or when they're looking at that product, they can think, well, do I need to do more than that? So we do all of this within the application. We don't have third-party add-ons to do basic things like inventory and purchasing control. That's all part of the system. So everything from financial management down to reporting and analytics, AR, AP, bank reconciliation, all the financial aspects, as well as many of the operation aspects are all built in the same. And then our add-ons or our extensions are adding capability on top of that, not reinventing or creating capability from scratch. Universal app. So whether you're on a Windows app on your desktop, or whether you're in Chrome or Chromium or Edge or Internet Explorer or Firefox, you can run all those browsers on your Windows. And then we have an Android app and an iPhone app, and basically you get the same experience there. And then we have the Windows, Android, and iOS tablet apps, which are all actually the same app. But basically what the system will do is if it's an app on a phone or a tablet, it'll make the buttons bigger so I can use my fingers. Where if it's on a desktop, it's going to keep it so you can use the mouse. And that's a universal app across all those different platforms. Then we have the ability to integrate and extend, so we can connect. So we have built-in application program interface, so APIs, which enable other apps to connect to our system. So if somebody wants to go and get an item list and then send back for an order for a third-party app, those APIs already exist for that with the proper security behind them. Then you can also do what's called an add-on. So an add-on allows you to go and create add-on apps that enrich the standard functionality of the product. And I'll show you a little bit about those in a second. And then we also have an embedded app. And basically an embedded app basically is an end-to-end solution for an industry or a micro vertical. So that basically means like LS Retail, they're an embedded app, so they're white labeled. They look like LS Retail, but the platform they're using is Business Central. Okay, and then we talk about apps themselves. So we have a number of apps already on AppSource. I think there's over 140 today. And those apps basically allow a customer to go online, say, okay, I want this functionality. They can click it and download it, and it can install it on their Business Central system. And then our partners can monetize around that, so they can charge a monthly fee or a yearly subscription fee, or whatever it is they want to do for that, and make more money on that ad. Now, those add-ons or those apps that we're talking about, they're not available in every country, so you have to be a little bit careful when you look at this list. But there are many of them that are actually available in Australia and New Zealand as well as around the world. Let's just have a quick talk about the Business Central partner opportunity. So today there's 0 to 19 employees. There's 781,000 1 to 19 employees. That would be good for Business Central. There's another 51,000 that are 20 to 199 employees. And the 199 upwards, we're also selling to that market as well. So there's quite a large customer base, and anybody that's got Office 365 is a potential customer of Business Central. From a partner side, there's a number of ways to make money out of the solution. So obviously your Microsoft Office 365 revenue. On top of that, your Microsoft Dynamics 365 revenue. Then your annuity-based managed services. So, we provide support, etc., on a yearly basis and charge a customer for that. If you get into building third-party apps, you can get revenue by AppSource. And if you create your own IP, you can also get revenue by that. And the other one that's not on this is making what we call customizations, which are still extensions specific for that customer as well. So all those different revenue streams can basically increase your amount that you're getting from your particular customer by month. In case of apps, third-party apps and partner-owned IP, it's normally 25% increase in the actual per user base that you'd see in that sort of area. Okay, so at this stage, I'm going to hand over to Graham, if you're still there.
Yeah, sure, and Tim, thank you for that, and welcome everyone. Just a little bit about Artis. Artis Group specialises in Microsoft Dynamics and associated technologies. As we know, the landscape of what these technologies can do and how they can benefit a business can be a really complex thing to explain to customers and partners. So what they do know, though, is that they want the fastest delivery of value to the business they could possibly get. And that's really where the Artis Quick Start offerings really shine. So what are the Artis Quick Starts, and what is Artis Quick Start for Dynamics 365 Business Central? So our Quick Starts really offer a fixed scope, fixed priced and fixed deliverable engagement to provide immediate value. We're very transparent about what a customer will get and what's been excluded, but we've turned the in-scope activities or tuned the in-scope activities to establish the technology rapidly and to provide sufficient knowledge transfer to ensure our customers and partners are as self-sufficient as quickly as possible. So the fixed scope, fixed price nature of these engagements really provides a strong degree of predictability as our customers and partners understand how long these engagements are going to take and exactly what they're going to cost. An example of this here is that the Quick Start for Business Central is completed in 120 hours at a cost of 19,500 ex GST at a fixed price, so they know exactly how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost. We use a combination of proven methodologies such as Microsoft SureStep, which is Microsoft's prescriptive guidance on how to plan and deliver a Dynamics engagement, and Artis Pathfinder, which is Artis's proven phased project delivery and quality management methodology that we use on all of our engagements, irrespective of which technologies we might be implementing. So whenever a customer sees one of our proposals, they know they're going to go through the activities that are clearly articulated in the discovery, design, deploy, and operate phases. They get a very consistent experience. The rationale for that fixed scope is that we've identified the activities that are required to really deliver the core functionality rapidly, so returning that immediate value to the customer, which is really what they're after. The example here is that the Quick Start for Business Central focuses on establishing the core financial functionality so that day-to-day financial transactions can be processed and give immediate visibility of their impact, and that can be seen straight away by the customer. We've done that, though, with some additional functionality in mind, so we provide a solid foundation for additional workloads or industry-specific practices, so that way the customer won't need to do significant rework or be precluded from adding some of the capabilities that Tim was referring to later on. So the example here is that the Quick Start for Business Central provides that core financial functionality that's used as the foundation for organisations such as those that might be in the manufacturing or assembly industries, or perhaps those that require HR or payroll functionality, or even integrated expense claims, or leveraging the inbuilt integration between Business Central and the other Microsoft Dynamics modules or other Microsoft products that Tim was referring to. So we're creating the foundation now, knowing that these other capabilities might need to be exploited at some stage in the future. So Artis has got a number of quick starts. The one for Dynamics 365 Business Central is one of those, but we have a number of others for various technologies, especially those associated with Microsoft Dynamics. And they all use the same formula to provide that fixed scope, fixed price, fixed deliverable, using proven methodology, making sure we get the core functionality in place, and making sure we deliver immediate value and providing a solid foundation for future endeavours that the customer might have. So what is Artis Quick Start for Dynamics 365 specifically? So what does it include? As I mentioned, we make sure that we establish the foundation of Business Central, being the chart of accounts and financials. So establishing that chart of accounts for assets and liabilities, equity, revenue, cost of goods and expenses. So that includes everything from the chart of accounts themselves all the way through to account totaling. So that way a customer can report on their financial position at any level they want. So if they want to do it at the asset level, they can do that. Or if they want to do it at the revenue or income level, they can do that. But then they can drill down lower into additional levels of detail if they really want. Our offering includes establishing the open balances on all those accounts as at a particular moment. So it's very easy for a customer to transition from the existing packages they might be using across to Business Central, and to be able to see that we've maintained the integrity of the financial position of the business as at that time. We also include banking. So we establish the bank accounts which might be used by an organisation. That includes establishing the closing balance on those accounts and making sure they reconcile with the general ledger. So if we have our banking or cash position in the chart of accounts that we've established right from the get-go, then when you have a look at each one of the individual bank accounts, clearly they'll reconcile with what it is that we have in the general ledger at that time. We also establish the customers. So that's establishing the list of customers or the accounts receivable position. And that's standard details such as names, addresses, the integrity of suburbs and postcodes, because Business Central provides us with the ability to ensure that the integrity of the way the suburbs are described and the postcodes they're associated with are absolutely maintained. But it also includes additional details such as delivery locations for a customer or the financial treatment of the purchasing that they might have. So we establish their account balances, and similar to banking, we ensure that they reconcile with the general ledger as at that time. In a similar sort of way, we do that for vendors. So we establish the list of vendors or accounts payable in a similar way to what we establish with those customers. But we include payment methods such as their EFT banking details, payment terms, for example, if they're a 14-day or 30-day customer. And we also include their account balances to ensure that they reconcile with the general ledger as at that particular time. Items are really the products that we sell. So as part of our quick start, we established the product catalog. That includes creating templates for the creation of new products. The way that those posting templates might be used, so that when we purchase a product, we have a particular financial treatment for that product. Or when we sell that product, we have an appropriate financial treatment of the sale of that product. So we make sure their purchase prices and the sale prices are correct, and we reconcile that as at the time that we establish them for cost and sell pricing. As part of our quick start, we also introduce and ensure the built-in reports such as the trial balance sheet, income statement, they're all working correctly based on the chart of accounts that we've established and any account totaling that we might have done. We also ensure that any of the built-in dashboards, which are often powered using Power BI, are all working correctly. That entire process ensures that any of the built-in artificial intelligence that Tim referred to through Intelligent Cloud Insights, powered by Cortana Intelligence and machine learning, is also functional. Whilst we might be establishing all of this as at a particular time, so we don't have a lot of transactional history, as we go forward and start to process those transactions, each one of the things that we've wired up through Intelligent Cloud Insights and machine learning, etc., is all going to provide the intelligence and visibility that customers are immediately looking for. And we do all this with security and organisational roles in mind. So we make sure we establish the correct roles for customer use cases to ensure the visibility and accessibility of any of the things we've established in those both steps is correct and appropriate. Business Central comes with a number of built-in roles, and the user interface and experience the user gets is tailored based on their user role. So the organisational accountant may well get visibility from one point of view, but a production manager is going to get a completely different view and different visibility. So those security contexts and roles are established as part of the quick start. So why is it that customers are liking our quick starts, and specifically the one for Business Central? I guess we've emphasised the predictability. So we have a predictable duration. They know that when we start one of these engagements, they know exactly how long it's going to take. And we're also establishing exactly what sort of expectations we have of the customer to be able to meet those sorts of timelines. A good example would be the interaction that we have to have with the accounting or finance staff in an organisation, so that we can determine exactly what the chart of accounts looks like, how they articulate balances, what sort of reporting they might need to do, and how we establish that in Business Central. We certainly provide predictability in the pricing. So we conduct all of our quick starts as being fixed price engagements. That way a customer knows exactly not only how long it's going to take, but how much it's going to cost them. And we've been very transparent in the sort of inclusions that we have in our quick starts, so that it's very easy for a customer to know exactly what's going to be included and what things might be coming at some stage in the future. And we also give them visibility of the predictable licensing model that we can provide. So really, we know that the most of our customers now are looking for a very predictable and flexible licensing. So, for example, all of the licensing should happen per user per month based on the license type that the user has. And we, as part of our quick starts, discuss the number of users they might have and each one of their requirements, and make sure that we've got a very clear understanding and the customer has a very clear understanding as what their licensing position might be. And we ensure that those license quantities and types and the per user per month pricing is established very early on in the piece. We're already working with a number of other partners and customers in several states. We have a model whereby we provide not only the concept of being able to white label our offerings, but also really to be able to provide a referral model as well. And it doesn't really matter whether you as a partner are providing either a referral or a white label service, we provide that for exactly the same price. So really, what are your next steps? We have the ability to position the offering. You're starting to get visibility of what it is that the offering includes. We can provide additional information about that and provide templates for the proposals that we would put forward as part of our quick start offerings. You really can continue to emphasise the predictable nature of these engagements. We provide them for a fixed duration and a fixed price, and that provides customers and partners with a great degree of comfort and confidence that because we're using proven methodologies and processes that we've been through in the past, they're going to get the sort of outcome that they are looking for with that predictable duration and predictable price. Now, as indicated with that predictable price, we have a customer price that they know they're going to get. But if we are providing this offering as part of a partner offering, then we also provide very predictable partner pricing. So you know that you're going to have a partner price that you'll be paying us for that service. You'll be paying that same price, whether it's a referral or whether you're white labeling our service as part of some of the services that you may well be providing. So we provide that same degree of fixed price and predictable pricing, whether we're offering this to a customer or via a partner. So really, that's as much as what I wanted to describe on what it is that the Artist Quick Start offerings were. As we get to the end of the presentation, I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to ask more questions if required. Some of those might have already been asked through their chat window. So at the tail end, I'll be available for that Q&A. Over to you, Arun.
Great, thank you very much, Graham. That's a great introduction. Just for everybody on the call, feel free to put any questions that you have now to either to Graham or to Tim, just on what they presented just over the last half an hour or so. We'll just give that a couple of minutes, see if we have any questions that are coming in. Okay, just while we're waiting for those to come in, I'll just quickly cover off the components around the marketplace and obviously where you go ahead and buy Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now, Microsoft Dynamics 365 is quite a comprehensive offering, and we do have absolutely Business Central as well as Premium and also 365 Enterprise. All of these are absolutely included in the marketplace and ready to order today. Certainly, if you need any help from either myself or any of the sales team, feel free to reach out to us directly. Obviously, if you've engaged with Graham around scoping the services requirements based on what he's covered over, we can help you around those components, but also when you're actually ready to actually go ahead and place your order for those subscription services, my team are there ready to help you. I'm just seeing if there's any questions come through. Bear with me. I see there was a question that's come up regarding the CRM aspect. Graham, did you want to maybe just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, certainly can. So one of the things that Tim mentioned earlier on is that the CRM aspect of things can be quite important to a customer throughout their sales journey that they have. That importance can be either associated with quite a complex sales process with specific business processes, rules and things. We mentioned the strong integration between Business Central and the rest of the Dynamics modules, including Dynamics 365 for sales. So we certainly have the ability to do that immediate integration between that and Business Central if required. But Business Central also includes built-in CRM. So there's some, the concept of all of the customers and vendors that we've already seen, and the ability to manage all of your leads and opportunities through Dynamics 365 Business Central, and to be able to establish exactly whereabouts in the sales process you are, and through that process, qualify those opportunities and start the sales quoting process.
Okay, excellent. So another question that's come through. I am very interested in integrating a marketing tool. Do you have any suggested add-ons?
Yes, we certainly do. We do work with Microsoft using Microsoft Dynamics 365 for marketing. So that probably would be an excellent tool to add into the Dynamics arsenal.
Okay, excellent. Feel free to keep the questions coming in, and I'll keep going with the promotions. Nice segue into the December incentives around Microsoft 365. So good one, Graham. So those of you that are not familiar with the current promotions we're running around Microsoft CSP, we currently have a promotion where we're offering up to $55 per seat of Microsoft 365 as ordered on the Ingram Cloud Marketplace. So that's a $45 incentive per seat directly from Microsoft, and additionally there's also an additional $10 from Ingram as well. So when you add the two together, that actually is worth $55 per seat. And that promotion runs at the moment through until the end of December. So feel free to take advantage of that if you have customers that are looking to buy the Office 365 subscription and are particularly interested in the Microsoft 365 offering as well. So a really good incentive there. Also, those of you that may not be aware, there is a price rise due for Microsoft on the CSP program, which is effective from the beginning of January 2019. It's expected to be about an 8% uplift on their current pricing. This is something which they have not implemented a price list increase now for about 3 years. I think this is mainly driven by exchange rates with the US dollar. So effectively, any subscriptions that you purchase on the Ingram Cloud Marketplace in December, you get the advantage of the lower price for the length of the subscription of that particular service. That will run through, if it's 12-month subscription, it will run through to December 2019, and then you'll obviously get the increase of the 8% on that renewal in 12 months' time. But any monthly subscriptions that you buy today in 2018, that price will actually be held right the way through until the end of the 12-month period. So again, that 8% increase will be effective from the end of 2019. Tim, if you could just go back one slide, please. We just go back into the Office 365. Okay, and also if you're new to the Ingram Cloud Marketplace, we absolutely have an incentive around Office 365. So for anybody that's buying the Office 365 subscription, there's a $50 Visa card in addition to all the margins and rebates that you get around Office 365. And if it's your first customer on the Ingram Cloud Marketplace that you're ordering, again, for December, the promotion we're running is around a $100 Visa card in addition. So some really great incentives for you to take advantage of the opportunity in December, help those customers start off those new subscription services and potentially beat the price rise, which is effective from the beginning of January 2019. And lastly, on the promotion side, Tim, do you have control of the PowerPoint? Thank you. December incentives around Azure. So if you spin up services around Azure, those of you that may not be familiar, With Azure, you only get charged based on the usage of the services, so it's all consumption-based billing rather than based on subscription or user-based services. So the incentive that we're running at the moment in December, up to December, is earn up to a $2,000 Microsoft Azure Accelerator incentive. You need to have the service running for 3 months. It needs to be a minimum of $1,000 per month of consumption. And for that, we will give you $1,000 after the first month. Second month is an additional $500 incentive, and month 3 is another $500. So there's a $2,000 incentive for new Azure services. So take advantage of that through the month of December as well, and try and work with the team to get those new customers on board. We do have another question that's come through as well in the chat box, asking around getting a demo around the sales and marketing aspects of Dynamics 365. What we can do there, I'm sure we can organise a separate time with Graham to go through a demo. I think he'd probably want to have more in-depth one-to-one discussions around those. But absolutely, if we identify that there is a strong interest in that, we could potentially run another webinar on that topic in the new year. So absolutely very open to any feedback you've got there on how we could potentially do that as we go into 2019. Do we have any more questions coming through? Okay. So just lastly, just if you have any questions about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out to the Ingram Micro Cloud sales team. You see the direct line there is 0293816735. That's a dedicated number for the cloud sales team. Also, if you can email us at ingrammicrocloud.com.au should you have any questions or need any support around any of the information of the things that you've heard today. I think that's it for the questions. Don't think there's any more coming through at the moment. No, I think we're done. So thank you very much for joining us today for this Dynamics Business Central 365 webinar. We wish you a Merry Christmas for those of us that don't speak to you in between, and a Happy New Year for 2019. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you and goodbye.